Good to go. What is going on, fam? Hope everyone is doing amazingly well today. Welcome to another week of the Anti-Hustlers Weekly Show. So excited to be here with you. Brian is back with me this week. B-Dog, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. Great. I literally sat down 30 seconds ago, got here on time for this. So we're hanging out, doing stuff for my wife's birthday.
Nailed it. Happy wifey birthday day. Brian is sacrificing birthday time with his wife for you all. Consider that.
I am.
Consider that. Today, we're going to be talking about what it takes to get to the path of $250,000 a month in your agency by understanding what bottlenecks are needed to be handled first in a linear format in order for you to be able to grow your business. This is a really important training that we're going to be sharing with you today because ultimately, most people we speak to just want everything done and fixed right away, which, look, we all want everything in the business to be solved immediately. And we all want it to be as fast as possible. And we want to work on 18 different things at the same time. But when you're working on your offer and your retention system and your client acquisition system and your team management and your own productivity, while also being a dad or a husband or a father or a son, while also trying to have your own personal life, while also trying to work on the house stuff that you have to deal with, and while you're also trying to visit your grandma and doing all these other things, you ultimately recognize pretty quickly that trying to manage all of these things yourself is pretty much impossible, and having the appropriate focus is really where you're going to have the most success. So that being said, if you are with us this week, please say hi in the chat. It really helps us a ton. Let us know where you're watching from. Got some new peeps on the show. What's up, Nate? Good to have you, buddy. If you are just joining us for the first time, we're excited to have you. We'd love for you to have your video on if you can during the show so that we can have this experience together. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you. And basically what we do every single week is we cover a new topic on how to most effectively scale your agency and build the lifestyle business that you want so that you can ultimately be happy and satisfied and fulfilled. And that's what we do. And that's the purpose of it. So today, we're really going to be diving into this linear bottleneck format and really talking about what it's going to take to be successful the way that you really want to be in your business. The three main things that we're going to be breaking down today are absolutely critical to your success long-term. Because if you understand these frameworks, it will help you battle between, do I do sales focus or do I focus on retention? So what we're going to share is the linear bottleneck path to hitting 7 figures, how to structure the 7 key systems for your agency to scale, and then how to hit 6-figure profit months consistently for your agency, if that is your desire. And we'll give you the linear bottleneck PDF here today as well. Really excited to get started. Brian, before we do, anything that you want to just touch on related to linear bottlenecks, how this idea came about, and kick it over to you.
Thank you for asking. I was hoping you would ask because I was like chomping at the bit to share some of this. Yeah. So I want to say a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, which is crazy. But in Denver, we were hosting a mastermind. One of our sponsors, Mike Mark, good guy, runs a placement service for setters, sales guys, etc. And he was going to do a presentation, but after hanging out at the event for a day, he was speaking on day 2, but after hanging out on day 1 with everyone, he threw his presentation out the window and he really was like, this is what the people need to hear instead. And it was really, for me, profound and I think game changing because I, just like Alex said, like many of you, try to do it all at once. And he was really breaking down and expressing this idea of, you don't have, even in your mind, even though maybe if you put it on paper, like there is 20 things, there's 30 things, 10 things, 5 things, but really there's likely just one big thing that if you could fix, if you could solve that bottleneck, it'll change everything for you. And bluntly, most people under $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month in their agency, to me, one of the biggest things would be acquisition, consistent acquisition. Now, maybe if you are consistently bringing on clients, but you're not growing because there's always a couple going out the back door, maybe that issue for you is going to be retention and client experience. So I really want to challenge you guys to look at, based on what you're trying to do right now, what is the singular thing you need to fix before you go on to try and fix something else? And we're going to give you the tools today to do that.
Love it. Look, we talk to agency owners and entrepreneurs all of the time, literally all the time, who are hugely and overly complicating their life and their business on a consistent basis. And then that leads to burnout, frustration, lack of clarity, and then also this really shitty feeling of like losing confidence. Like I speak to people that formerly they were like, I'm unstoppable, I'm unbeatable, I'm indefatigable. I don't know if I said that correctly, but I know that that was a solid word. I think I said it correctly, but it's like, you can't be beaten. And then just after killing yourself trying to do 17 different things in the business at the same time, all of which get 5% results, you wonder why you struggle to scale and why you lose all the confidence you had. It's either you don't know which thing to work on first, or you just don't have skills to work on some of the elements of your business. So you focus on the wrong things. And that's what we're here to do. What
Ooh,
our
I want to talk about some of the
say,
wrong things. Can I talk about some of the wrong things real quickly?
Go ahead, please.
Cool. I'm very excited about this. I'm excitable. Again, under 50K a month, if you're worried about like GHL tech issues or like your website or your branding or the business name or your logo or trying to create content, like, and I'm not preaching like from a high horse that I never did these things. I chased these things in my business for a long time. I thought like I need a pretty website. I would spend days like tweaking the website, make it pretty, learn how to do graphic design, and it didn't make me any money. You guys need to be focusing on acquisition, very likely for most of the majority of you on this call. We're likely either acquisition or client experience, fulfillment, retention. So we'll talk about this in the call.
100%. And this is absolutely critical to your success, because we talk to a lot of clients like in POD before they're working with us, and they mention that they're trying to solve 17 different things at a time. They're getting advice from their friends that have built their business, or their previous mentors, or their mother, or their dog, or something random, where they're dabbling in doing like 7 different things at the same time, and then they can't figure out why they're not making momentous progress, thinking that they're just a failure. And the reality is, you're not a failure. It's just you have to understand the prerequisite linear path to being successful. So if you're wondering why your agency or your business isn't growing the way you want to, even though you're putting in the work, it's because you're not doing the appropriate things, the right actions to take to fix the problems that you have. And what we're going to do today is teach you the exact path to doing that, in which case we'll essentially unlock the infinitely scalable agency model. You will be able to make as much money as you want with the willingness to invest into it. If you're willing to invest into it with the right strategies, you can make any number of money that you want. We've seen as high as, I think, like $750K a month. Is that normal? Of course it's not normal. But if you're willing to be spending, $75,000 to $100,000 a month on ads, you're going to be making that type of money. Is that what Brian or I are saying you need to do today? No, it doesn't matter where you're at in your company. You could be at $3,000 a month. You could be at $150,000 a month. The process is still extremely valuable to understand. So if you want to learn how to actually go through a linear bottleneck, just drop a 7 in the chat. If you're live on Facebook, drop a 1, please, for us. Hit that like or love button, and then come join us in the Bitly link for the Zoom room. Brian, before we get started, anything else?
Yeah. Let me share something that will create a bottleneck for you. A lot of you are maybe likely in this situation right now. I'm dealing with a lot of clients who are. You will create a bottleneck by trying to do too much. Like we're talking about, like focusing on multiple bottlenecks. Doing too much will create the bottleneck, because what happens is there's no repeatability. So again, if you are doing all the fulfillment yourself and you're building websites for these clients, SEO for those clients, Google ads for those clients, there's no predictability, there's no repeatability, and it makes it very, very almost impossible, if not impossible, to scale the business. And I promise you guys, I see this at both ends of the spectrum. I see this with beginners who want to be a full service agency because that's what they think they need to be in order to compete in the marketplace. And they're trying to do all of the things, and that's the bottleneck. They stay stuck. But on the flip side of that, I see people that we work with come into the program making $100,000, $120,000, $150,000 a month. For a lot of people, they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. That's amazing. But they're profiting like $3,000, $5,000 a month, because once they got to like 50, 60, 80 recurring, they're like, hey, we need to do more stuff. We should add on more services. We should add on more niches. Man. And now their team and all of the moving pieces are now the new bottleneck. Now they just have to outspend themselves in order to keep up with the demand. So to me, like planning in advance to not create the bottleneck will involve and require you to
Definitely.
be more focused, be more specific with a direction, and do the same thing over and over. Don't do a bunch of random stuff. So that's
Yeah, I
what
love the
I'll leave.
idea, Brian, of like a lot of entrepreneurs outsmarting themselves. Like, oh, I just have to do more because of it. It's so great. Let's start here with just the understanding of the actual ascension path. So you can just have a simple understanding of what it would take to get to even $500,000 a month or $250,000 a month. These are the 7 key systems that we've identified. Let's just talk about this for 1 second to please understand this format.
Yes.
All 7 of these things are important. It's not like these are only important during the Basecamp format. All of them are important. It's just a matter of you can't work on all of them at the same time, right? It's the same idea of going to the gym and you're one person and you're just going to work out every single muscle group every single day. That is not possible. It doesn't get you the results you want. There's a point of diminishing returns. Entrepreneurs sometimes don't understand this concept. They just think that they're Superman or they're Atlas and you could just literally do everything. You can't. It's not possible. So what we've done is we've put together what we believe is the most effective ascension path to what we call the infinitely scalable agency. The reason we use this IP of infinitely scalable agency is because we truly believe if you have every one of these assets put in place right now, you will be able to scale to any number that you desire. Brian, why don't you break down a little bit of each of these?
I would love to. I would love to. Awesome. Okay. So Basecamp is kind of this area we've defined around that beginner stage to $200,000-ish a year. So around 20K a month. And what's really interesting is you can get there. And I've seen people get even further than that without any leads, without being good at selling. And because it's just, they got referrals, they got lucky, they kind of fumbled into an opportunity. But what I truly believe is to quickly go from 0 to 20, first thing is you need a niche specific offer. And when I say niche specific offer, that means one offer for one audience. Don't try and serve everyone else. Now, very important note here, at the beginning of your journey, you may need to take on some work to pay the bills, to make the money. You may have an opportunity like I'm going to go towards HVAC, but oh, there's an opportunity with this plumbing franchise that kind of fell from the sky. Doesn't mean you're going to say no to that. Be open to the opportunities that come your way, weigh the opportunity cost, but take intentional action in a direction of one audience, one fulfillment, one service that you can fulfill for them. And then once
And I
you
just want
have
to touch
that,
on this too, really
please,
quick.
please.
Yeah, this is really important what Brian's talking about related to opportunity costs. Some people are so hell-bent, especially relatively newer people or people that have been stuck like in the same product like all the time, like same offer or niche. They get stuck because they hear like the echoes from the entire agency space, like niche down, one offer, simplify. And so they do that, but they do that like banging their head against the wall and don't find success. And then they turn down an opportunity that would be infinitely more valuable than what they're currently doing. We've literally had people we've worked with that say, hey, I'm working with repair shops only, but I had a dealership tell me that they have 30 locations. I have 3 clients. I denied doing a call with them. And we're like, why? That opportunity is so much greater. Like if we pivot into that, it would be better. Now for established agencies already in the Climb and Summit, obviously you wouldn't do that. You'd probably find a referral partner and build from there. But when you're at Basecamp, you need to have the ability to have flexibility, not the stringency of saying, I'm only going to do this one thing. It's not supposed to be strict or stringent. The reason why we obviously coach the idea of one niche, one offer is for simplicity purposes, but it doesn't mean that you're just going to deny everything else. Like there's opportunity cost to everything. People only talk about profit of finances. You cannot ever forget that the finances are never the value. It's your time. That's the most valuable thing you have. So your time consideration is the opportunity cost, not the money. That it's of course important, but it's not comparable. So just want to bring that up for Basecamp. Do you want to move on to the
yeah,
or anything
I'll
else?
add a couple more, just a few more things. So
Sure.
I should have thrown in here a high ticket offer, ideally also. Listen, everyone, I totally get the appeal of a more hands-off, like a course or done with you or a SaaS where you don't have to have much interaction with the client. You can sell a low ticket and then hope they retain hopefully forever. But honestly, guys, like it is so much easier if you're going to like have a $200 a month SaaS to just sell a $2,000 a month product as well, because most of the industries you guys are going to serve don't necessarily want to do it themselves. They don't want to learn how to use the software to make it work. They want it done for them. I was just got off a kickoff call yesterday with a client, the same issue. They tried to build out courses for contractors and like contractors don't want to learn how to do it themselves. They want someone to do it for them. And when you charge a high ticket, not only can you provide a better service and provide bigger outcomes for your clients, it allows you to get to your revenue goals much, much quicker. So instead of, if you want to get to $20,000 a month, how many dozens, hundreds of people do you have to sell at $200 a month to do it? It's a lot. And frankly, when you have a newer product or offer, you have to sell one-to-one. You have to get a feedback loop to open with your first customers to make sure they're having a good experience and you're creating good products. So I wouldn't sell anything low ticket until I have an established income
Correct.
and an established audience that I can tap into. Second piece here, go ahead.
Really quick, hold on, Brian. Also, the
I'm holding.
perceived value at a higher ticket offer is better too. Like, it's perceived value is higher. When you price higher, your perceived value is just simply better. And so there's a lot more opportunity.
And again, consider what I said about you can provide a better service for your clients. You can get them bigger outcomes that they want because you can afford to pay for better talent. So in that vein of paying for better talent, second piece real quick before I move on in Basecamp is the fulfillment mechanism. This is a massive bottleneck where if you are doing the majority of the work for your clients, you will stay stuck. When I ran an agency by myself and I was doing the work by myself, I got to, 5 or 6 clients where I was just maxed out. I had no time for sales calls, prospecting, because I was just running around with my head cut off, doing 100%. The work for the client. So finding a fulfillment mechanism may mean if you want to serve, say, beauty spas, I'm going to make up an example, but you don't know how to actually run ads on Facebook or Google or do SEO, like, don't learn it. Go find a white label partner who can. If you have the skill set, like, but I'm the best Facebook advertiser I know. No one's gonna do better than me. Fine. That's a stupid attitude to have.
I'm saying that. No one is. It's just
regardless.
It's just not the
Find
thing.
a junior media buyer who you can train to do what you know how to do, and they can help fulfill and do the work for you. But if you were doing the fulfillment yourself, you will stay stuck.
Let me touch on this, please. So this is really important. First of all, we have legit one of the OGs of POD, one of the first 10 people I ever worked with, Philip Calvin, on this call. Absolute legend. Phil, really good to see you, man. I hope you're amazing. Really cool to see you.
Brother, hey guys, excited to be watching you guys and just keep it up.
So long,
good
man.
stuff.
Hope you're doing great. It's funny that he's here for this because it's like a perfect exemplification. Like, Phil was one of the first people that I worked with that had white label partners. He taught me, Brian, he's the one who taught me about Reach Local all the way back, like literally all the way back from my agency. So it's like the idea of saying that like 90% minimum of agencies that build, like, they do not do their own fulfillment at the start. It just doesn't happen because it's so hard to develop that type of system. It's much easier to delegate it, create the profit from it, and then over time you can build in-house. The next step here is going to be the climb. And this is where you see kind of people getting from that 20 to 100K mark. Again, there's variance here, but it's a pretty good understanding to kind of see what the systems are that are needed. And this is where you're going into acquisition mode, right? You need leads, opportunities. You need to be able to convert those opportunities into sales, which if you haven't watched the one called Close Trainings we've done in the members areas and inside of our group, just ask. We have a lot of insight on this. It's really, really good. And then retention, being able to actually keep these clients paying you. There's a huge focus in marketing today and coaching products and like online material that focuses on these two things, leads and sales, because these are the sexy things that sell, right? The idea of you need more opportunities and you need to convert those opportunities into clients. But there's very, very little conversation about retention. The reality is anyone that has ever been able to get to $100,000 a month has to understand the value of retention. If you're bringing on 5 clients a month, but losing 5 clients a month, you will never build any business. You'll be sinking every single month, restarting from scratch. And worse, you'll probably lose all your confidence. You'll have negative reviews. Word will get around that you're not good at what you do. We use POD. We say in POD that we're a client success company, not a client acquisition company. And our retention proves its point. We have more than half of our clients that have worked with us for over a year. We have another third of our clients that have worked with us coming up on 2 years. That is not a thing that's heard of in the agency space. It's just not. The majority of people that are in the agency space do churn and burn coaching. They join a program for 3 to 6 months. They maybe kind of like it, and then they try another one. That just doesn't happen that much in POD because our main focus is retention. Do we never lose clients? Of course we fucking lose clients. Obviously, we're not perfect. We don't retain every single human being in our agency or our coaching, but we're really good at what we do to retain our clients longer because we care about client success and understand what it takes to get results. That's something you have to be able to do and put time into. But if you're working on all 3 at the same time, you're going to get shitty results for all three. And that's what we're going to be talking about here in just a second with the linear bottlenecks. Before we move on, Brian, you want to wrap up with the summit?
I do, but I feel compelled to share more on the retention side. This is
Sure.
important, right? You need to be able to stack recurring revenue and clients, because like Alex said, if you have a revolving door, you will not scale. So last night on our Scale 7 Mastermind, we were bringing this up. How do you then go fix this, right? The number one thing is you got to get the results. If you get your clients what they want, you will get what you want. And if you do not know how to get those results, this is, again, you need to lean on someone who knows how. If you are in the POD community, I see a number of our clients here right now, go to Andrew's calls on Thursdays where he runs a multi-million-dollar ad or media buying agency, and he can help you diagnose client issues and client campaigns. Very, very crucial. And then the second piece of this is consider how you can make your product more of an experience. It's a little more challenging with it done for you, but one of my favorite examples is Coachella. If you go to Coachella's website, you can look at their tickets, right? And one day ticket pass at Coachella or whatever, I think is like $500, $600. I'm not a music festival guy. I just think it's a good example, but $550 for general admission, right? But if you scroll through this, now they have like tent camping or safari camping. And now safari camping goes to $9,000 for a ticket because they have created an experience around their product. So one of the ways at POD we've done this is we host 3 events a year. We create incredible experiences for our clients 3 to 4 times a year. And it massively helps with retention because people, now it's not just a product or a service, it's much more than that. And it's an experience. When you can create an experience around your product, retention really takes care of itself. Results come first though.
Absolutely.
Cool. I'll wrap it up and I'll bring us home with the summit.
Yep.
So wrap it up. So as we get to 100K and beyond, really understanding your money becomes critically important. How do you pay your team appropriately? How do you spend appropriately amounts of money to acquire clients? What is your cost per acquisition? What is your conversion rates? What is your cost per lead? That is critical to now actually starting to just create a math equation out of scaling, which is a really fun thing to do once you reach there, once you've got a proven product and a proven client path. And then really, and also now it's not just retaining your clients, but retaining your team. How do you create a vision? We spoke about this last night, Alex, as well in the Scale 7 call. How do you keep good talent? How do you find a partner to work with you? You have to have vision. You have to be able to sell someone on the bigger vision than yourself. And Alex, you did this probably unknowingly when you initially sold me on joining you in POD, but what you said is super impactful and everyone really needs to hear this and use this as well and believe it if you do have a business that you believe in, is you told me, do you remember what you told me, by the way? You might not know the exact line. You say a lot. You say a lot of things. It's okay. I'm gonna do it.
I talk a lot, man. I mean,
you say a lot of things. That's okay. You
lot.
told me, hey man, we're both doing pretty good by ourselves right now, but together we could do great. We could do great things together. And that's what sold me on the vision of POD. And you were right. Here we are years later. We've 5x'd the business from where that point was. So you need to have that vision if you want to retain good talent. And that's how you will keep people on your team and not churn them.
Absolutely. Before we wrap this portion, by the way, if you're on here, can you just mute yourself? I don't know who it is. So if you're on here, can you just
Patrick's got no Zoom etiquette.
Mr. Fournette. Come on, man. It's all
How
good.
dare you? I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm totally kidding. So really quick thing on the KPIs and team culture. Obviously, this is important throughout your business, but the idea of really when your finances matter the most and KPIs matter the most is when you're making money on the margins. When you grow much bigger than your initial anticipation, like most people start their agency with the idea of like $10,000 a month, then $10,000 in profit, then $50K a month, then $20,000 in profit, then 75. And then when you get to a point of you're like 100, 150, 200,000, a difference of 3% per month in profit is massive. I mean, it makes a huge difference. We're talking about several $1,000s or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the year. And so understanding how to make money on the margins is absolutely key. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Brian and I are experts at that. We're definitely not. We've utilized resources that are much better than us at this. We brought on a new coach, Avery Lynch, who's excellent at it. And we've also used companies like Adam Rundle and Nathan Hirsch for these types of things, because understanding how to make money on the margins at a huge business, like where you're making 150 plus per month, you really need to understand that, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in profit a year. That will be different just by understanding small tweaks. Go ahead, B.
I have one last comment on this. A lot of people have asked us about our new coach, Avery Lynch, how we and we're able to bring on a guy who's running already a $7 million a year agency. And it's because of that. It's vision and culture where he wants to be a part of this community because he likes what we stand for. He enjoys being a part of it. And that is how you get people on your team who are better than you, who are smarter than you, and can carry your company further than you could by yourself because of the vision you have for that. You don't have to always be the best one, and you should strive to not always be the best one and surround yourself with people who are better than you.
Absolutely agree. So let's dive in now to the linear.
Join POD.
Sorry,
I had to throw that out there.
Can you drop a 7 in the chat if this is valuable for you and making sense? If you're live on Facebook with us, hit that like or love button, helps a ton. And then come join us on the actual Facebook live thingy Zoom. There we go. English. All right, cool. Check this out. So this is the linear bottleneck sheet. This was from our POD Unplugged event last year, not the one we did last 2 weeks ago. This was in January of 2021. This was a really fun worksheet and workshop to do. And so what I'm going to do is on the rest of this show, we'll have a few more minutes here and then we'll answer any questions anyone has. We're going to show this to you. And then if you want access to this, just drop a 1 in the chat and we'll make sure we send it over to you. And then I'll give you the actual worksheet so you can work on it. The idea is what you will do with in your business is this prompt. It's pretty simple. Okay. You'll go through each of these linear bottlenecks, which we're going to break down in just 1 second. You're going to write down the main problem that you believe you have for this bottleneck, but then you'll notice that the prerequisite to fixing this bottleneck is the bottleneck above it. And I'll show you an example of how this works right now. The first bottleneck in your business can only be an offer, and here's why, okay? You cannot generate leads for an offer that you don't have. You can't do any appointment setting. So after you generated a lead, you can't convert that lead into an appointment if you don't have an offer to sell them. You cannot sell someone if you don't have an offer to sell them. You cannot onboard someone if you can't sell them because you don't have an offer for them, right? Is this all kind of lining up? Does everyone get what I'm saying here, right? It goes down through the entire list. Each one of these are prerequisites to the thing before, right? So let's just go with the last one. You can't ascend your client, continue to retain them, make them a second offer if you haven't delivered on the fulfillment that you initially promised. You can't deliver on fulfillment of a promise if you haven't onboarded a client. Can't onboard a client if you don't sell them. You can't sell a client if you don't have an appointment set. You can't do appointment setting if you don't have any leads, and you can't have any leads if you don't have an offer to pitch to get leads. That's the framework. This is how it works in a linear format.
Well, what's crazy too is
this.
Sorry, Alex, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, when it's crazy is that you could on accident or by force do one of these things without the other, but you just create a massive bottleneck because it's randomness. So you can do everything wrong and still get wins, and you can do everything right and still lose. So it's interesting that you got to be very intentional with this. And again, be around these types of communities where you're learning this type of stuff. Right.
Our goal in showing this training, this bottleneck worksheet and this framework of the linear bottlenecks is for you to recognize right now, any of you that are on this call, any of you that watch this replay at any time, I guarantee each one of you can write a problem down that you have with each of these systems. All of them. I'll give you a quick example. Oh, my offer is not super fleshed out. It's not high ticket enough. My lead gen, I only have one method of generating opportunities. My appointment setting is done all by me and it's not automated through GHL and I don't have a caller. My sales are kind of iffy. I'm only closing at 10 or 15%. My onboarding is not very effective because it's not automated whatsoever. It's all by me. My service level agreement's trash. Fulfillment is random. Sometimes I get wins. Sometimes I don't. Some of our clients say, some don't. Ascension, I don't even have an offer for Ascension because I can't get fulfillment right. All of you will be able to write down these bottlenecks. All of you, every single one. The key though is in a linear format, what's the most important thing to work on? Brian and I are not suggesting that automatically means you have to work on the offer first, right? If you already have a good offer and you already have a good lead gen, but the appointment setting is the break or the sales the break, the idea of doing this workshop will actually give you the clarity necessary to figure out what needs to be worked on first. The entire purpose of why we did this comes from essentialism. Essentialism's idea is that if you have actual focus on one thing for an X amount of time, you will get significantly more results than having that same amount of energy on 10 different things. But remember, essentialism is an idealistic model. It's impossible to actually do because no one in any walk of their life, even a single person, is able to just focus on one thing. Because no matter what, inherently, there's going to be two things for a single entrepreneur. There you go. The two things of a single entrepreneur would be their personal life and their business. Those are already two things, right? Let's add on what a lot of other people have, a wife or partner or husband, They also might have kids. They might also have other hobbies or other responsibilities. They might have a job. So the idea of saying that you can focus only on one thing, consistently, it's like, unless you're a Buddhist monk, which I don't believe any of you are, you're not going to be able to do that. You will have other responsibilities in your life. It's just part and parcel of your business and life. That being said, though, if you focus on just one thing in the business at a time and avoid that really strong feeling you have to work on separate things because you think you're multitasking, I promise you, if you focus on the one bottleneck appropriately on the linear format, you will get way better results much faster, and you won't feel as stressed about, oh my God, I have so much on my plate. You're not going to just wake up and have some magic ability to have octopus arms and split yourself into 6 people and get everything done at the same time. It's impossible. It's not real. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's real. And people that are telling you you're bad at multitasking, you don't know how to be productive, they're bullshitting you. The real problem is you're trying to do 3 to 5 different things at the same time. How many of you watching this right now are working on a new offer, the fulfillment strategies for your team, and also trying to hire someone for fulfillment? At least half of you, if not all of you, are trying to do 3 to 7 different things. Just do the one thing, get the one thing done, because that's how you get the most progress. And better yet, when you have a team member, someone that can help you, then they can work on the other bottleneck, but you can't do 2 at the same time. And that's the format. So if anyone has any questions on this, please let us know. That was today's show in terms of the recorded portion. I will leave the recording on. I didn't record it today, B. Oopsies, my bad. Sorry, all good.
Live and
It's on
learn.
Facebook. I'll download it, but that was my bad. But I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. And Brian, if you want to add anything, feel free. But that's the purpose of today's show, showing you that roadmap, the 7 systems needed to scale to $250,000 or $500,000 a month. Again, you don't have to do that. Whatever you want to do in your life is 100% good with us. That's our style at POD. That's why Brian has the anti-hustle thing right above his head. But we want you to feel like in the ability to do what you want. And then this was the linear bottleneck workshop. So B, anything else you want to add? And then we can do any Q&A before we back at it.
Well, one more thing that I would regret not sharing, as we brought Avery into our community, he's been coaching a lot. I love his just no nonsense attitude that a lot of our coaches have, but specifically around the idea of doing hard shit. Now, a lot of us in internet marketing, it's not something it's very low barrier to entry to get into. And there's a lot of people out there, because there's such a low barrier to entry, that create a bad name for the digital marketers, and it makes it challenging for us to go sell our people because they've been burned so many times. But the problem is that people, they're lazy, right? They don't want to do the hard shit. And when I say the hard shit, that means when you have a client who's not getting good results, are you trying to hide behind an email or hope they don't notice?
100%.
Or are you picking up the phone and are you calling them? When you have a client who's not been communicated for a couple of weeks, do you just go, oh, they're probably happy, they're just going to pay the bill? Or do you TLC them, tender loving care, what we call it? We pick up the phone and we call those clients who have not been communicating with us. Are you asking when a client cancels? Are you picking up the phone and calling them, asking them about their experience, why they canceled, and learning and getting that feedback? Because here's the reality. Even when you at this point, if you are the main person running your business and you don't have a team around you, you are responsible for every single outcome. And then when you get a team that surrounds you, guess what? You are still responsible for every single outcome. The only difference is, instead of doing the things yourself, you need to get things done through your team. So you learn a different skill set, but you are still ultimately responsible for that thing. So a lot of our clients don't like to do outbound prospecting. It's scary. I don't want to interrupt people. All of the reasons. Avery got on his call last week and started yelling at everyone like, $7 million agency, he's still doing that himself. And when he's not doing it himself, he's showing his team how to do it, make sure his team is doing it appropriately, because if they fail, he ultimately is the one who gets screwed. So you guys have to just, at some point, put on your big boy, big girl pants and like do the hard shit that's required to get to these higher levels in your business. Because if you do what is easy in your business will be very, very hard. If you do what is hard in your business, then your business will be easy. You can use that same phrase for in life in general, but just wanted to add that last piece.
Yeah, I love it. The concept ultimately comes down to, are you really willing to say no to yourself on multitasking and focus on one thing or not? That's what it comes down to. You will believe what we're saying, or you will just keep trying to do 17 things. But the easiest way to figure it out is just do the worksheet. Just do the worksheet and add one little prompt to yourself on the worksheet. Anything that you write down as a problem on that worksheet, when was the last time you worked on it? And if you recognize that you worked on each one of the 7 things that are there in the last 2 weeks, well, no shit. Of course there's problems. Of course. Because you can't possibly get progress on all those things at the same time. It's just impossible. Just impossible. So you really got to keep that in mind. And I get it. I understand it's not easy. You want it all to be done. You want your traps and biceps and legs and calves and abs to look great all at the same time. I know.
Are you willing for it to hurt though? Are you willing for it to hurt? It sores all over your hands because of it.
It doesn't work at the same time. It just doesn't, it just doesn't. There's no other way to say it. And that's it. That's the show. So we're happy to answer any questions anyone has today. Feel free to ask us anything. If you're looking for more support and insight and help, consider joining us in Prospecting on Demand. Half of the people on this call or so have been clients or are currently clients. Shout out to Ryan, Nate, Sean, Ruti, and Philip Calvet as well. And Brittany also is on here. What's up, Brittany? Good to see you. And Ruth also, I think I just named everyone. That might have been more than half. But yeah, if you're considering joining us, feel free to do so. We do calls like this every single day, and you have a private Slack channel where we'll support you every single day. Any questions for us at all about these linear bottlenecks? Included, by the way, POD clients, you're more than welcome to ask us anything. You don't have to feel like, oh, this isn't my call. No, it's cool. You're good. Whatever you need, we got you. Anyone have anything that they want to ask or get clarity on for the show today? Ganesh said, did I say your name correct? Is it Ganesh or Ganesh? I'm going to go with Ganesh. It's definitely Ganesh. 100%. It's got to be. Tell me I said it correctly.
Yeah, Ganesh is right. All right.
Is it Ganesh?
Can I take this one? I absolutely love this question.
You're good.
Cool. So this is where, again, once you've picked who you want to serve, you need to go find and partner with ideally a white label agency or a media buyer who's got past experience there. Because what you're going to do is leverage the past experience of your white label partner or the media buyer on a sales call when you don't have them. One of our clients, Larry, does this very successfully, or had done this very successfully, where he flexes the credibility of his white label partner, the fact that they have a 32-person media buying team, the fact that they spend $10 million a month on ads for their clients. That's not all inside of Larry's agency, but he can flex that credibility, that proof, the past results on a sales call in order to sell his service.
Ganesh, when I started my attorney agency.
Can I jump in there for a sec?
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Sorry, Alex. Can
No,
you
you're good.
explain that a little bit better, Brian? Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, that sounds kind of like sketchy because now you're claiming other people's work. Am I hearing that correctly? Like, what do you mean by the white label?
Great question and point of
Oh,
clarification.
Sean, you heard it correctly. Brian is very sketchy, bro. The sketchiest.
You should rip off all your clients and lie.
It's that dirty lip,
Yeah.
man. You can't trust.
Sean, just lie, bro. That's the secret in DoD. You just lie about everything, and then you.
But I don't mean that. I'm not calling him out personally.
You're good.
I'm
John,
just-
John, I'm fucking around.
This is a
You're
fantastic
good, you're
question.
good.
Don't put an asterisk on it. This is an amazing question.
You're
So,
good. You're good. Go ahead. B.
some white label, you have to get the permission from the white label provider, right? And a lot of them, the good ones who actually have the proof, aren't going to hide it, because the ones who are kind of hiding it, those are the people who are sketchy. But the person who's a legit white labeler is going to be able to have the proof and able and willing to share that with you because they share in your success. So I'm going to just call out one of our favorite white label partners, Invisible PPC. If you go work with Invisible PPC in a niche they have results in, they will give you those results in a pre-made slide deck and say, hey, go use this slide deck to go sell the service. They will help you sell the service because your win is their win. So it's not going to be true of every single person. And I love also, Sean, like, how do I frame this effectively on a sales call? So I was just talking about Larry, right? How Larry does this is he doesn't claim this is my team. He calls it his partnered fulfillment team. So, hey, Mr. Client, I have access to a fulfillment team that we have partnered with. Here is the credibility of that fulfillment team, X, Y, Z, past results. And we have access to this through our special relationship. And I get to extend that to people in your space. So I would sell it as not your team, but the fulfillment team you have partnered with. And then we typically coach at some point to bring it in-house as you start to get and own your own results. But this is a really easy way to, as a baseline, get over that. And again, good white label companies, good media buyers will not hide that. I would be skeptical if someone's like, oh yeah, I've totally worked with a bunch of mortgage brokers. Okay, can you show me some experience or some past results or testimonials? Oh no, we don't do that. That to me is what is sketchy. So
Yeah, let me
really got
touch
to
on
find the
something,
ones
Sean,
that
really
are
quick.
good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Great piece of insight for you, Sean, because I think some people, when they hear this for the first time, also that's new, they're like, well, okay, even if you say that it's your team, aren't they technically not your team, et cetera? It's the same point of contention of, if Alex Schlinsky doesn't know Google Ads, which I don't, but my agency provides Google Ads, and I hire a person to do Google Ads in-house, what's the difference of hiring someone in-house or hiring a white label team who does it for me? There's no difference. They're still both my team because I hired them, but you do have to get permission, of course, to use their previous insights. So when I started my agency with attorney work of doing ads, because I did probably like 4 years of no ads before turning into ads, we used Reach Local, and they had a ton of past results, Sean, that they were more than happy to share. And so suddenly I was able to go tell all my attorneys, hey, I hired a fulfillment team in-house for Google Ads so that we can provide this service to you because we believe it's going to be very valuable over the coming years. Here's the results they've had before working with me. And that's how I was able to scale. So that's the answer. Hopefully that helps.
Cool. I love this
Okay, yeah, no,
question next.
that really cleared it up for me, because I use the same thing with the designer that I use. Like, our agreement is that, you know, she has her own freelance thing, but she's also an in-house designer for Brand Roots. But you know, I can use her work, previous work, to help kind of sell my product.
Absolutely.
Okay, I understand.
As
Yeah,
you
get
should.
permission.
She gets
Just
more
get the
work.
permission.
Yeah, as
Right.
long as, Sean, obviously you know this. I know you know this, but I'm saying for everyone else, right? As long as you don't leverage her work to sell work that she won't fulfill, because that's totally inappropriate, right? Like, that's not
Yes,
right.
yes.
If I was leveraging Reach Local's work to sell my future work where I'm not working with Reach Local, that's totally inappropriate and not right. Now, again, is there any way that you would be caught doing that? Highly unlikely, but it's not a matter of getting caught. That's not how integrity works. It doesn't work because I got the 5-finger discount, but I didn't get caught. It's like, well, it's not how it works. Inherently, it's just not a good thing. But I know you don't need to hear that, Sean, just in general though. So people get that concept, I think is really, really important.
My
I
follow-up
tend to-
question is, like, are you doing this when you want to do a service that you're not selling at that time? Like, when else would I use that? Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I have the in-house designer because I want to offer that service, but really the majority of the money goes to my designer. I take my percentage that I have on top, but it adds another service that I'm selling. So is that the only time that we use this kind of service?
Brian, you want to take it or you want me?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you mind re-asking it?
I understand. So Sean, the idea is it depends on where your skill set is, right? So Sean does coaching, right? So it's a little bit different than agency work. But Sean, if you were to bring in an ads service for lead generation for your service, you're never going to become an ads expert. It would be a foolish use of your time. It would never get you to the place that you want to go financially based on what you're working for within POD. So it would always be delegated, whether it's through a white label company or in-house is not really relevant. The mechanism doesn't matter. It's just, if you bring someone in-house, do they have results we can use? Or if you work with a white label company, they're much more likely to have the results because that's how they're built off of. So that should answer the question a little bit better for you. When you're delegating coaching, which is a completely different thing altogether, usually the coach is you. I've never heard of anyone starting a coaching agency, white labeling coaching from another product, although I'm sure it happens, but that's definitely not going to be Brand Roots by any means, Sean. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that explains it perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Got you.
Excited
All right,
to do
Josh.
the kickoff
Saga
call
had a
next week,
question.
Sean.
What's up?
I'm excited to do Sean's kickoff call next week. He's just joined the
Yeah, he's
program.
great.
We're gonna be working together here soon.
Yeah, man, stoked to get to it, man. So I'm
Do it.
excited.
Awesome.
Cool. I'm gonna
Okay.
take this question from Josh. Is that
Go
cool?
ahead.
I like this one.
Yeah, you want to read this out loud?
Basically, yeah. So it's a long one. So I'm gonna do the summary version real quick. So basically, at 5K a month, they're doing a lot of outreach, but he's feeling like their pitch isn't correct. He shared what their offer is and just wants more booked appointments. So first thing I'm always going to go to is data. What is the actual data? Josh, like, you need to know how many emails, messages, DMs, et cetera, were actually sent. How many positive replies did you get? How many meetings were booked from that? How many actually showed? How many closes? Because we need to know if it's really a volume issue where you're not doing enough volume and you were within KPI on all those things I mentioned, or maybe something along those KPIs are broken. Maybe you're getting a lot of responses, but you're not moving them to a call. Maybe you're not getting enough responses.
He's saying we
So,
just started last week. Bro, there's not enough. Yeah, 100% not being patient. How many calls have you done in the last week? How many sales calls? You can unmute yourself, by the way, bro. You don't have to text this. You can just unmute yourself and ask.
Mic test. My good. Sorry, I just woke up.
Mic
So.
test. No, bro, you're good. No worries. How many calls have you
We
done?
had like 8 sales calls last week just from
Bro,
cold calling.
Bro,
And
the
then,
fact that you got 8 sales calls in a week, that's good. So again, to me, you were well within KPI. That is really, really good. So the next piece I'd go here and start diagnosing is, I'm so tired personally, because we do this a lot with clients, when you quantify your outcome, you quantify the outcome of your offer up front. Don't do that, guys, because what you're trying to create is a Goldilocks offer. What I mean by that is you're hoping that that number 20 or 30 or 50 or whatever the number is, you're hoping that's just right. You're hoping that everyone who sees like, oh yeah, I want 20 more leads this month. Some people, that may be way too many. Some people, that may not be anywhere near what they're trying to achieve. What you really need to do is just, in my opinion, speak to the outcome you create. So, hey, we get booked roofing appointments. Don't do the timeline under 30 days or the 20 thing.
Definitely not
Once you get
30
on a
days
phone
also.
call with them, don't do it under 30 days. Speak to
Yeah.
the outcome. Don't quantify it yet, because what you need to do is once you get onto a phone call with someone, you need to diagnose what they're trying to achieve. Are they trying to add $1 million in revenue to their business in this year? Okay, then based on what their average close rate is, what you roughly know a cost per lead you could achieve was, you need to help them sort of reverse engineer what is reasonable for them to invest to achieve the goals that they are looking for,
right.
because you're hoping that that one offer speaks to every single person in the same way. And frankly, a lot of industries are tired of seeing those offers as well. So
Sure.
you need to come to the call as an expert and be able to help them reverse engineer their goals, and then with integrity tell them yes or no, we can support on this. And sometimes the answer might be no, we can't support on this because your goals are totally outlandish, or they're not big enough for a bare minimum number that we would charge to do this service. So
Two quick
to me,
things on
like,
this, Brian, that you just
please.
noted that were great. One, when you do 20 booked roofing estimates, what if a corporate company wants 200, and so you just ruined your opportunity because they want that? Again, is that going to happen? Probably not, but they don't care about the number of, they just want more roofing estimates or more roofing jobs or roofing repairs. That should be the angle of the framework, not anything else. 30 days or less is ridiculous. It just gives you no time at all to fulfill that service. No marketing offer or coaching offer should ever be less than 90 days. Ideally, much longer than that. Anything we do in POD is 6 months minimum, most of the time. And then anything we do at Sky Social Media is also 6 months minimum. The biggest reason is just like 30 days gives you no time for optimization or work or proof. Like the reality that you're going to really actually get someone 20 qualified roofing estimates in 30 days is probably not going to happen. Like Brian and I have worked with at least 10 different roofing agencies. None of them get those types of results, especially when you're saying you're just starting. It's just not a super effective method.
They've got to be
90 days
spending like
more.
ungodly amounts of money, and most of the people you're probably
Ridiculous.
speaking
Yeah, you're going to
to
be spending thousands.
aren't or don't. And then
In terms
this is
of-
really
One last thing, Brian, is in terms
Please.
of booking more appointments. I don't know how you're getting them. I think you're saying cold calling. If I read
cold
that correctly.
email, DMs.
Emails a day.
The cold
I don't-
email and the DMs just started this week. We used to cold call only for like
Got it. Yeah, I
2
don't know.
weeks,
I
yeah.
don't know where your business is at. Okay, you said 5K a month. Yeah, probably not ready to invest in ads, but like that's going to be your answer. Like running ads is going to ultimately be the answer, because that's where you're going to get the highest quality people to work with you. Doing cold calling, like it's very, very slow burn. Cold email can work, but the offer does not work. Like you can't frame that. Like, do you want more roofing jobs is probably a better cold email, because they're going to say yes to it, and then you can call them to follow up. But again, ads are going to be the answer. Go ahead, B.
Yeah, it's okay. I think I lost my train of thought. It might come back to me.
No worries. Does anyone else
Um,
have any other
yeah.
questions for us today? Anyone else need anything else?
Yeah, man, I'm here. I came here for a specific reason.
Hit me, Phil. It's
Philip.
good to see you, man. I hope
All
you're
right,
well. Hope your
man.
family's well.
Oh, everything's going great, man. Hope yours as well.
Good, dude.
I'm making a few pivots in
Okay.
my business. First of all, bringing the agency back more holistically, almost like we did back in the day. A lot of more local businesses. So your main service companies. I'm going to be doing a lot more outbound client generation for that. But what's kind of brought me here is, I've been in the real estate investment world now for, since 2008, but on the agency level, the last 3 years. And, I was one of the original that was doing a lot of these services. And now there's just a lot of other individuals that are kind of
Yes.
driving the market in a different direction, kind of commoditizing my offers, so to speak. So I know I have everything down. I know I can produce results. I'm one of them. So I'm on a peer level, doing things at a very, very high level, generating 400 to 500 leads a month. And they're just wanting to generate 50 to 100 leads a month and kind of start expanding their business. My question is, going to a more performance-based model, just to differentiate myself amongst the people that are saying, hey, $2,500 a month plus ad spend, where I know I can fulfill it and make money and get more deals by lowering my cost. Yeah, I can just do $1,000 by all means. Yeah, I can get 20, 30 clients,
Yeah, you don't want
no matter
to,
if
Phil,
I'm
you don't
buying.
want to fight for the bottom of the barrel, like lower ticket clients. That's not your style. But I would say, like, the idea that you would assume potentially that you would separate yourself from the pack by doing pay for performance probably isn't what you think it is. I think there's actually a lot of companies now that are doing like pay for performance or like a hybrid of pay for performance, which is pretty common. The obstacle that Brian and I have with pay for performance usually comes down to quality of the actual client itself. Like if there's no skin in the game for them other than like ad spend potentially, or worse, nothing. Like some companies, Phil, will do it with like literally no risk, and they'll do marketing for free with no commitment on it's insane. I don't think you would do that. Obviously, I would expect that you would get the results in terms of like probably a setup fee and then like they pay for the ad spend, but it's not really that much of a differentiation. I would tell you, Phil, what I know would be the biggest differentiation for you probably. The offer can get work, but I think the way that you do the lead generation outside of just doing ads, the thing that would separate you really well would be like sponsoring events, meeting in person, shaking hands. Like that's what you do best. And you already have so much like leverage from your past experiences in this industry that the majority of people, man, like, not singling anyone out, but like a perfect example is Josh literally just explained how they're trying to get their clients: cold emails and calls. Like, okay, so every single agency that is actually trying does that. And then the next level is they're running ads. And then the next level of that is running ads at a significant rate. So when I say ads, like there's a lot of agencies that run ads for like $30 a day. And they think that that's something, which let's be clear on that. Newsflash, $30 a day is absolutely fucking nothing, right? There's companies that we work with that do over $250,000 a month, and they're spending $50,000 or $70,000 a month on ads, which to most people, it's like, oh my God, it's a crazy amount of money, which look, I'm not spending $50,000 a month on ads, so I understand it. But that being said, like either you're going to spend a shitload of money on ads to differentiate yourself, Phil, or you're going to go in person. I don't really think the offer of pay for performance or retainer is really going to be the needle mover that you might think it is. That would be my personal opinion. Brian, I'm open to your thoughts.
And Brian, I
Right,
want to
Phil.
hear your thoughts as well, but I am now, I'm on the podcast circuit, so I've kind of put myself out there. So I got like 11 of those kind of scheduled out throughout the year already. So I'm going to kind of come out from behind the curtain. I've always been the guy that's been behind the curtain with a bunch of big names that I can kind of put out there. So that's kind of been it. And it's going to be more of like a hybrid type. The performance model is only going to be for the ones that are, verifiable success already. And it's just a lot more of the consulting hybrid too. So they get me on the consulting side of it. They got my entire team. Plus we're doing it for them, almost just like a done for.
Oh, he muted himself. Brian, you want to speak on it? I don't know what happened.
Sure.
And
Let
somebody
Let me
called
help you.
in, but
Let me
also-
help you out, Phil. I think
Yeah.
this is the better way to do it, in my opinion, is get to a place where you're charging a percentage of ad spend. If you can achieve these much bigger results, why are you going to worry about the guy who doesn't believe in it and wants to do like a pay per lead model? Like, to me, it's just charge a percentage of your client's ad spend. And if you can generate them 400, 500 leads per month, they're likely going to be spending 10, 20, 50,000 a month on ads. And if you can charge 20% of that, you will make significantly more money. It's a pay for performance in a way. And you don't have to always have to necessarily be anchored to the exact number of leads that they generated or the exact number of closes they made.
Phil,
Right.
also with pay for
Understand.
performance.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that aspect of it. And I'm a little bit selfish on the back end because the only people I'm going to bring in are in certain markets that I already have hedge fund connections with. So I want to do this for them so I can create these.
Oh man, that mute buttons.
I will just say for anyone that's considering pay for performance, one other really important thing is when you're serious about pay for performance in, like, for example, real estate or roofing or medical, one, there's a couple things you have to do. One, you have to make sure it's legal, like the thing that you're doing is legal. So like you can't do pay for performance marketing for attorneys, as an example. I would know because I almost got an attorney debarred for doing that because I'm stupid as shit. So one, you have to know that it's legal. A lot of the stuff like medical stuff cannot do pay for performance either. You can't even do pay for appointments. That's also illegal. I don't know the laws in real estate. I know there's a lot of people that do pay for performance, so I'm sure
You
it's
have
not
to actually
illegal.
be a realtor to take a commission from another realtor's close.
So there's a lot of legal stuff
Right.
that you have to make sure, but the biggest and most important thing outside of the, I guess, I shouldn't say most important thing, but another really big factor is making sure that you have the ability to bring the hammer down. And I don't mean like bust and kneecaps type of format. I mean, like, if you don't have an actual legal document that's signed by both parties on what the commission structure is, we have heard a ridiculous amount of people at small levels try pay for performance in any number of businesses, like med spas, for example, get 25 people to come in for liposuction that's $1,000 a pop, and they're supposed to make $300 per, and then the person just straight up ghosts them, just like nothing they could do. There's no legal documentation, etc. So just, protect yourself, obviously. I feel like, Brian, like Avery is the best suited for this type of
Yeah, for
support.
sure.
Like,
Yeah,
For sure.
it all goes through the title company too. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
my selfish pitch is, hey, I want to get you more deals in these areas that I can pitch to my hedge funds, and then we get a 50-50 split of a $20,000 assignment fee.
Yeah.
So
Typically-
that's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, typically I try not to make money off of something I can't control. So if you're hoping that
Yeah.
they are going to be the one to make the money for you and that's when you will get paid, that's very dangerous because you're putting the ball
Yeah.
in someone else's court who, like, I might offer a pay per performance thing to a client that I've worked with for a couple of years and we know what working like looks together, like, and that they're going to close and they're going to make money, but definitely
right.
wouldn't lead with that personally.
For sure.
Gotcha. But and another thing is their deals, they have to go through me to even submit to make their money. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that idea. If it's legal,
So-
I would like that.
Oh, it's
but
it's legal. I mean, it's hedge fund real estate investment. I mean, we're doing wholesale deals, so it's
I'm going to open
we
up
don't
the
have to
door
worry about
for
rent.
Cody.
We don't have to do
On
anything
in.
with the realtors or anything like that. So
yeah, Phil, let's chat about coming back to POD and chat about that. And you could DM me and we can do that. But
Water's
thanks
real
for your
nice
time,
over
man.
here.
Super good to see you.
I love it. Great
nice
to
warm
see you
arms.
guys. Thanks,
Nice warm
man.
arms.
Hey, look, guys, if anybody else is listening to this, man, I come here when I need to refill some of my foundational issues. These guys right here are the epitome of building a strong foundation and then scaling from there. So that's the reason why I am successful. I have done this. I have been around a long time, but I still come back to these calls whenever I need something, just because I know these guys are going to be pumping out true value. So
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. Everyone that joined us, we always are grateful for your time. It's the most valuable asset you have. So we're always appreciative of you giving to us. Grant, it's good to see you, man. Everyone
you.
else out there that is watching live or on replay, thank you. Just hit a like or love button on the actual message thing or video thing in Facebook. It helps us a ton and gives us a lot more reach availability. We'll be back next Thursday, the second or third, I think. Is it the second? It's the 2nd of February, which again, crazy, right? We're moving fast in the year as usual. We got an amazing set of shows coming up, including a mega event that we're going to be doing on retention here in the coming weeks, where we're just going to share everything that we do for retention for both our coaching program and our agency. We can't wait to share that with you. It's going to be epic. Have a lovely rest of your day. Good health, happiness, and success to all of you. We appreciate you. B-Dog, love you, dude. Thank you all. See you soon.
See you, fam.